Welcome back. The Portfolio Committee on Transport conducted oversight visits at Passenger Rail Agency of South Africa operations, including the Gibela Rail Consortium's Dunnottar manufacturing plant. Committee chairperson Donald Selamolela lauded Prasa for what he calls a demonstration of capacity and ability it has in the rail passenger space. He joins us now in studio for more. Thank you so much for your time and for joining us this evening. A good story for Prasa. It seems it's the first in quite some time.
Greetings to you and greetings to viewers at home, my sister. Look, you coined it correctly that it is for the first time in a time now that we hear positive stories from Prasa. It is true that this morning we started in the morning at Santen train station to take a route train to Prasa, the park station. We arrived there, we really wanted to see what is actually happening because we have an interface at Cape Town in the sitting of Parliament with Prasa as a portfolio committee on transport, and we got the report that says they are moving up. And we really needed to see what they are saying because you see, we don't just want to get the reports, we also want to see what is actually happening on the ground. But of course, I must indicate that this happened as is equal to the number of oversight visits that we have conducted. We started on Tuesday with the Airport Company of South Africa. We met ATNS, we met Civil Aviation Authority. We then moved to meet the agencies in the road space. We went to the licensing department. You know, there was an issue with the issues of the licenses. We then went to RTIA, we met RTMC, we met Road Accident Fund. We met almost all the agencies, including Sanral. And then tomorrow we'll then be finalizing meeting those in the port space, in the maritime space. We'll meet the maritime agency, but we'll also meet the port authority. We also had an opportunity to meet with the road safety regulator. So we met almost all the entities in the transport space up to date. Okay. But I must indicate why the Prasa comes out as the intensive oversight is because, one, we wanted to see what is happening in Park Station. You know, Park Station is an intermodal facility whereby you get there at the Park Station, you get trains offloading there, and there are two types of train that offloads there. That's the route train which is under the auspice and authority of the routing government, but you also get the metro rails that are actually under Prasa. That's the interface. But you also get taxis, you also get buses, long-distance buses that goes as far as Umtata, that goes far as Messina, Harare, Maputo, and so forth. So you needed to see how all these things interface together. But in the past, Park Station was known as a notorious place where crime is happening, pickpocketing, and all that. So we wanted to see that. And we're really impressed by indeed the reports, what they told us in the reports, coincide with what we have seen there. We arrived early in the morning so that we can catch the rush hour. We were able to catch the rush hour. We're able to see what actually happens, the level of security interventions that is actually there, the cleanliness that is actually there, the intervention that happens in terms of economic emancipation that happens with the vendors interfacing and being given a space to operate properly. And we are able to say to Hisham, the CEO there, that indeed we are convinced that you have a good story to tell if we can give this upward trajectory. But when we left there, we then also had to go and see the Gibela. In 2013, the government of the Republic decided that they must appoint a company that will assist in building trains here at home. In building those particular trains here at home, it was one, to revitalize the rail economy and the rail industry generally, but also to ensure that we are able to respond to the challenges of broken trains and so forth, and to refurbish our fleet in terms of the rail space. That was done. We're impressed with what we have seen there. We have seen the trains that are produced here at home. What we implored on them is that this story, which is a very good story that they are doing there, is not properly being told. Our young people, our kids at school, they are not able to know that here in South Africa we can produce a train that gets to pick people from one point to another. But we're also happy with the Prasa, the fact that they are continuing to revitalize all their lines. Whether to the east, to the north, and also to the south, here in Gauteng, but also even in Western Cape, even in KZN, which is a very important progress.
Very important. I mean, and I just want us to hone in to the story, especially when it comes to rail. In order for us to understand the progress that has been made, we need to take one step back and look at some of the challenges that have been experienced over the couple of years, especially when it comes to infrastructure. So in doing your oversight duties, just talk to us about those inefficiencies that did exist and how they are now being improved.
Look, one of the first thing is that because of the poor infrastructure situation that we experienced, whether in terms of the rail itself, but also in terms of the fleet, which was torn or overworn, having been used over time, you had delays. And delays in trains means a serious economic challenge, because when 1,000 people are in a train going to jobs and they arrive late, if they are supposed to arrive the clock at 8, they arrive at 10, it means it's an impact on the economy. When there are cancellation of trains, which was something that was peculiar in the past, you then create a problem. But also you must remember that the trains are the most safest, are supposed to be the most safest and the most cheapest mode of the economy for our people. If you are ferrying from Pretoria to Joburg, or you are ferrying from Germiston to the center of Joburg on daily basis, where you are supposed to spend perhaps 4,000 a month using other mode of transport, you are able to use less than 400 rand, which means that this reserve of resources are then able to be used for household use, which is a very, very important thing. That's why we continue to employ on our people to use trains. But as to continue with your question, so those are the challenges that we have seen Prasa working hard and convincing us that indeed they are on an upward trajectory to resolve them.
I mean, you mentioned earlier on in terms of Park Station and how it's central to using different modes of transport to destinations as far as Harare, Botswana, as well as Cape Town and Messina. But in imploring people to use trains, how far then is the planning in ensuring that we look at the broader spatial and urbanization issues in terms of public infrastructure for these trains to be able to reach such distances?
Look, in our interaction with the Prasa, the chair of Prasa and the entire board and the executive led by Hisham, the CEO, the group CEO, and the entire executive management, the message that comes out clear is that they are prepared to work inside, of course, with their sister organization, the Transnet, which to a great extent has a control over the rail. They are prepared to ensure that all the lines, especially in the metros, are revitalized to ensure that our people are able to connect to that Park Station, which is the heart here in Joburg. If you go to Cape Town then becomes the Cape Town stations there. They become the hub. They are able to move people from either from Paarl or the other part of Southern Western Cape and so forth, to the center where the economic activities are happening. So here in Joburg, let's take for instance Joburg. If you are from Harare and you want to go to Harare, you are able to move from, and you are staying in Germiston, you are able to move from Germiston via a train, connect to a bus that will then take you to Harare. If you are from Polokwane in Limpopo, you are from Mutantanyane in Zebediela, you are then able to connect to a taxi in Park Station using a train, whether you are coming from Alexander or you are coming wherever you'll be coming from, you are able to reach into the Park Station, connect to another mode of transport that will take you to your destination, which is very, very important. But we continue to implore on them, because we have said we are going to sit on their neck, because it is not a favor. Our people, our economy, for our economy to work, our people must be able to be moved around. Goods must be able to be moved around in a high volume. Our people must move around in numbers. We can only achieve that through trains. You know what happens is when you are to move, let's say from Midrand to Joburg, it will take you more than 45 to an hour to move just from a distance of less than 10 kilometers because of the number of the volumes of the car on the road. We can only resolve that if we can encourage, motivate our people to move into the trains. Now that is the transport month, we have also used this particular platform as a clarion call to our people that let's consider using trains, but also the reliability is going to be a very important factor, because we don't want to leave our cars and be stranded that the train is delayed, that the train has derailed. You would have seen a week ago we had to move from the City of Parliament to Rise to Pal, where the train has derailed. That is why on the sideline of meeting Prasa, we had to meet with the safety regulator and implore on them that, can you also be on top of these two entities, particularly Transnet and Prasa, that you ensure that safety measures are observed at all material time, because when all is said and done, the importance of commuters, the importance of the safety of commuters, the safety of our users is a very critical, important fact.
It certainly is. What clarion call are you putting out to those users as well? I mean, we saw during the times of lockdown in the COVID era, where a lot of the metal was taken out in terms of the infrastructure of trains. How much of a responsibility do communities have in ensuring that that infrastructure is kept safe?
This is a clarion call that doesn't only say it goes to the rail or the commuters, the user. It calls all South Africans. And it's not only limited to the rail space, it's limited to public property. Our people must know that it is important at all material time to protect public property. Let's give you an example of what happened when we almost lost all the rail, because crooks would come in, and because they want to use metal, they want to use the steel in the rail. They steal that particular, that particular steel from the rail, use it for their own short-term interest. What then happens? You impact on the lives of so many. In these trains, they are school-going kids. They are university students who use these particular trains. When you remove rail, which is a road for these passenger trains, you create a serious havoc for so many people. Kids cannot be able to go to school. Students cannot be able to go to universities, University of Technologies and TVET colleges. Therefore, the ripple effect cannot even be measured by the benefit that you gain by selling that particular steel. So we call on our people to see, to be able to say, you have a responsibility to alert the police, to alert authorities when you see someone tampering with this particular rail, because it is not about the state. It is about us as a people and as a nation. We have a responsibility to protect our assets, because these assets are meant to work for us. They may be in the custodian of the state, but remember, the state is just the custodian of the properties of the people. So that's the understanding that our people must have.
Most certainly. Just as a parting shot, Donald, you mentioned that you're hot on the heels of Prasa. You're sitting on their necks in order to ensure that we're able to expand our railways. What are the recommendations and just proposed action plans that you've given them in the interim?
I must emphasize, we're never going to remove the foot on the pedal. We told Hisham, we're going to sit on you until such a time that you reach a target where the total number of users or of commuters are reached by their target of 186 million or so target of users daily by 2030 or so. But what we are saying to them, one, is that they must quickly move into ensuring that, especially here in the metros, all the lines are refurbished and are up to work, first. Secondly, ensuring that all these trains that they are bringing on board, and we are happy that we have seen, I mean, they have already produced there in the east, where we visited Gibela plant, more than 200 trains here at home. You know, that's a very important thing, because when now they are produced and the rail is properly operating, then you are going to have a situation where we don't have delays, because our people must never be delayed when they use this train. You see, you must never have a doubt that, hey, should I use a train or not? You must just know that there'll be efficiency, there'll be effectiveness, but also it will be economic. That's what's important line for us. So we have said to them, you know, when we're at PAL, just as a parting shot, when we're at PAL, when the train derailed, as we were waiting for the road safety regulator to arrive, we had an opportunity to visit and interface with the commuters. One thing that they told us, which was very painful, was that we understand, because they saw us wearing the protective clothing of Prasa, and they believed that perhaps we are working for Prasa. They came to us and say, look, we sympathize with what would have happened, we are sorry with what have happened, but we are really calling on you to ensure that that train is brought back to road as easily as possible, because we spent 2.4 6,000 to move from Paarl every day to Cape Town with other modes, but it only takes us 210 per month coupon to go to. So that, and this the money that we are using in the household. So we are saying to Prasa, we are saying to the authorities, and we have also implored that to Minister Creasy. And we are happy that Minister Creasy is on par in terms of understanding this. And you would have seen her, she has been all around visiting all. She has already visited Gibela. She has already been to Prasa. She's also side by side with us. We are putting pressure on her. She's putting pressure on the executive. We are not going to leave this thing. I can tell you, there's a committee. Prasa, moving our people, is one of the major priorities of this committee in the 7th administration.
Well, we certainly will hold that to you. We won't move our pedal or other foot off that pedal, and we certainly do hope that those trains would be moving in the way that they are intended.
Would you accept that particular pressure, because it will give us a necessary pressure to give pressure to the minister and the authorities?
It's all a vicious circle. Thank you so much for joining us this evening, Mr. Donald Selamolela, who is the Transport Committee chairperson, speaking to us there about the inroads made by Prasa.